Hi, everybody. This is Little Sister Chris, and I am here again for another episode with another sibling. I'm so excited that I get to have a sibling with me. And you're not just hearing my voice on the podcast today. And I fortunately was able to meet this sibling this year in 2022. It was a happenstance where I met her
crazy.
in a mutual friend's barbecue back around Memorial Day holiday. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I believe this sibling saw me first somehow. And then I was looking like, she looked familiar. And then, it's like, oh my gosh, small world. So I'm excited that she is here. She's going to share her story with us, other siblings who are listening out there or watching, depending on how we put this out. And I just want to give her this space and this time and know that she is supported in telling her story. We have some similarities and connections, you guys who are listening. And so we'll get started. Thank you so much for coming in. You look marvelous.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So what I'll do is I'll have you go ahead and introduce yourself to the Surviving Sibling Loss Forgotten Mourners podcast.
Okay. Well, my name is Aundria Green, and my brother Rob passed away January 1st of 2017. And I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you are here. The sibling is also a part of the Facebook group and has been following the Facebook group for a while now and has given really good insight, has given really good stories about her brother. And then she has other siblings that are also a part of the group. So that has been helpful. So how many other siblings do you have?
We have 5 mutual siblings.
Okay, 5 mutual siblings.
Yes.
And I know that Rob was somewhere in the middle. Where was he?
He was 4 down from me.
Okay.
So yes, I'm the oldest of 6.
So tell us about your relationship with Rob.
Well, he was born premature, and so he was really little for a long time. I think he says he was 5'5", I think, when he passed, but I think he was still shorter than me, and I'm 5'5". Okay. And so when he was little, everybody started calling him Little Rob because he literally was tiny. And his mother had a substance abuse issue. So I guess he wasn't premature. His mother had a substance abuse issue. And in the 90s, there weren't really rules against that like there are now. And so he was very small for a long time. But he was so cute and he had the biggest smile. And I think he and I were similar in that we are both nerdy and have always liked school. He was a cross-country runner, so he was very fit, but he loved people. He's very personable like me and didn't really meet a friend. He probably would have had a career in something social, some sort of outreach, even though he worked at Amazon, trying to figure out what he wanted to do with his life before he passed. But he was so kind and loving, and everybody just loved him. Like, I don't know a single person who had anything bad to say about him when he was alive, and in these almost 6 years since he passed.
Yeah. So talk to us about these past 6 years. What have been your battles? What have been your lessons in these past 6 years?
It's I guess grief is a multi-layered monster,
Mhm.
for lack of a better word. Um, I was trying to think, as you said, tell my story. So I didn't know if that meant like from the moment we found out or hours, what was happening that day before or
Where,
everything since. I just
yeah,
wasn't sure
where
what
you
that was supposed to
start.
look like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's funny when you have to talk about it, you can only remember some things. And so even my sister was saying there are things that she just doesn't remember at all. And then there's some things that are ingrained in her memory. And so we were supposed to talk this week about, to help each other fill in some things. And so being that it was New Year's Day when he passed, um, it was weird, because we were all out New Year's Eve, not together in our respective cities, and we have a family group chat. And so everybody was saying, Happy New Year, everybody said Happy New Year. And we were at a friend's house. Um, and I remember that I couldn't get rid of the outfit that I wore, but I wouldn't wear it again, the outfit that I wore that night, because it, has pain for me. Um, and funny, it had physical pain for me when I put it on the next time because it had sequins under the arms.
Okay.
And it was hurting me physically. And so I kept it for a long time because I don't know, I just felt like I needed to keep the outfit. But anyway, I guess he sent my dad a video kind of thanking him for things. And my dad said that was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I never turned my phone off. I never turned my ringer down. I just never do. And I did that day. And so my husband answered the phone. And I just remember screaming from like my core. Um, it was just so unbelievable. But I don't remember anything until I got to Iowa, which is where we're all from. And like I kind of remember phone conversations that I was having because he passed away in Texas, and we're all from the Midwest, but I'm in Tennessee, and so everybody trying to get back there. My sister's in Minnesota, and then the others live in Iowa. So everybody trying to get there and trying to get the body there, and um, but I think what sticks out to me the most was that I was afraid to be alone. My daughter was probably 3 then, 2 or 3, I can't remember. And I could not sleep without my husband and my daughter in the bed for maybe 2 years. At night was the hardest time for me. Um, for a while, I slept with the light on because I have a photographic memory, and I didn't want to see him in the casket because I just didn't want to remember him that way. And because he was hit by a car twice, um, I just didn't, I just couldn't do it. And so, in the moment, you just get the strength. God gives you the strength to do what you need to do. And so my sister went to do all the things because she was there. And I wrote the obituary and I contacted the family, and, we just worked as a team, to get the things done. But because only my grandparents had ever passed away, and one died when I was 12, the other one died when I was in my 20s, but it's so different when it's your sibling, like literally a piece of your heart goes with them. And so I didn't know where to put that. And so I just kept pushing it down. Uh, until one day I woke up in March and I was just sobbing all day. I could not stop crying and I did not know why. I did not connect that it was from Rob's passing. I could not unbend myself. I just cried and cried and cried and cried all day. And I don't think I really let myself cry. I cried when I couldn't hold it in, but I didn't allow myself to shed tears. And yeah, that was a crazy, crazy day. And I worked at a really strenuous job, mentally, emotionally strenuous job at that time. And so I just had to keep going. And so I remember I got laid off in July, and then I went to stay with my parents in Nebraska for a while. I came back in August and I just fell into a really deep depression. Um, I felt like there was a cloud in my mind that I just couldn't shake. And I remember thinking and telling my family, like, I really need help. So my biological parents never married. So I was raised by my dad at home. And daddy, just to clarify, daddy is the dad I share with Rob. We all call him something different. Papa, dad, daddy. I think I'm the only daddy. So from now on, I'll just say daddy because dad is my dad at home. And so I went to stay with my mom and dad in Nebraska. And my bio dad lives in Atlanta. Our daddy lives in Atlanta. So I remember telling my three parents, like, I need help, and daddy was having a really hard time. And he kept saying, I'm sorry that I keep asking you guys questions about this because it's not your child. It's not your child. You don't understand what I'm going through. But he wasn't mean. But just the questions he asked didn't seem relevant, for lack of a better word, to what we were experiencing. And he had never lost a sibling at that time. And he is one of 10. So for him he didn't understand where we were coming from. And we didn't understand where he was coming from because none of us have lost a child, thank God. So I remember, fast forward to 2019, I worked for a Christian nonprofit doing fundraising, and they had all these books on a variety of topics, but there was one on grief. And it was called something like, I'm not ready to say goodbye, something like that. And chapters on chapters of different types of grief, but it had like 2 pages on sibling grief, sibling loss. And I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So I was looking for just anything, to help process. And so that's why I was so grateful to find you in your group and to invite my friends. Because, once things happen to you, then you meet all these other people who have lost a sibling. It's like the weirdest camaraderie ever. but but yeah, I'm so grateful to have found this platform, that we have an opportunity to encourage each other and those types of things. I think what helped me a lot during that time is gospel music. I made a playlist called Strength. During that time, I listened to God Provides by Tamala Mann on repeat for ever. When I felt sad, all those words just spoke to me. And I also listened to It Is Well by Mary Mary, because so it's not the traditional one, but it says, love interrupted by tragedy, what will my life be like now? I do know that I can handle it if it's what you have allowed. And then the chorus is, I think, similar to the regular one.
Yeah.
But I could really relate to that. My brother was taken in a tragic way, and that. And then I found a devotional that was like 60 days on grief. And I didn't start it right away. I saved it because I just wasn't ready when I found it. I definitely, I don't know what stages I was in. I went to Grief Share, which was awesome.
Yeah.
If you've ever heard of Grief Share, it's
Definitely.
offered through churches, and my church had a grief share group. I did that right away. So I think I started that in January or February of 2017, but I didn't get through it. I think I took it 3 times before I got through it. I would get to like maybe week 8 or something.
Yeah.
And then I'd have to, something would happen with my job or something, and then I'd have to leave it. And I'm grateful that I went so many different times because everybody's situation is different. I remember having this like pit in my stomach a lot. And the only thing that helped it go away sometime was that these other people knew what I was feeling. I didn't have to over explain or whatever. And that was such a blessing to just be with other people who already knew all the things. I didn't feel like an alien because I didn't talk about him or it often, unless I was crying at home to my husband, or, you know, something reminded me of him and then I'm crying, or,
Yeah.
and I just kept trying to suck it in.
Mhm.
I've always been a kind of pull yourself up by the bootstraps person.
Guilty.
But I couldn't do that. So what was happening in my life at that time is that I had just been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and I had already had rheumatoid arthritis for like 10 years. No, like 5 or 6 years by this time. And so in 2016, I was in a lot of pain. And I think that was actually the first year that I spent Christmas with Daddy. I'd never spent Christmas with Daddy. And so to be with Daddy and my family and my granny, we had just all been together. And so then we had all gone back. And my granny lives in Iowa. Um, and I have one sibling that lives in, so Waterloo is where we're from, Waterloo, Iowa. So I have granny there, and I have one sibling, Thomas, who is the third from the top, and his family lives there. And then I have a bunch of cousins, but that's like those are my last pieces of living people. So when I think about Waterloo and the brother under me, he hates Waterloo because we have so many people who've died there. Like, we would be going there to visit the cemetery. And who wants to do that? I don't want to do that. He doesn't want to do that. Lots of people like that. It's just not, I don't want to do that. So yeah, those 3 things were kind of what pulled me up, and going through that pain, physical pain and emotional pain and experimental medicine and losing my job. It was the perfect storm for severe depression.
Yeah.
And so from August to May, I had the cloud. And um, all I can say is I must have woken up. I still don't know what the right terms are for this.
Mhm.
But I remember coming out of it in May, all these decisions needed to be made, and I was kind of like, like I had been there, but I couldn't pay our bills.
Mhm.
I couldn't work because I would drop my kid off at daycare, and then I'd go back to bed all day.
Yeah.
I'd wake up like 4, take a shower, go get her. That was all I could do for
Yeah.
months. Some days were better than others, but yeah, that's. Mm-mm. I did teach her to read during that time,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it was rough, and so we decided as a family that we were going to not be sad on his birthday and on his transition date is the term that my daddy likes to use. And so um, that was another thing. Like we all call it something different. We're all in different places, but we couldn't be sad at both. So which one are we going to be sad
Mhm.
at? And so I decided I did not want to be sad on January 1st because that just sets the whole year up to be ugh.
Yeah.
And he loved art. He was an amazing artist. Um, he could draw pretty much anything, and it was kind of in his own slant. I wish that I was thinking about bringing some of his art for you to see, but maybe if Miracle and I do this together again, then we can show some of it. Um, and he drew us a tattoo like maybe 2 summers before he passed, and we were like, "Ew, is this all?" Can you do something else? So we never got back to it because nobody wanted to hurt his feelings and say, like it was just really simple. It wasn't ugly. It was just simple. Wasn't what we expected because we'd
Yeah.
seen what he drew for other people. Like, well,
That's it.
so maybe that was the summer before he passed. I really can't remember. I'll have to ask her, but we didn't get it. And so um, I guess moving on to how we coped, um, I have an art party on January 1st, whether it's 2 people or a bunch of people. And I hope for it to get big enough for me to have it like in a center and have different mediums of art and food and celebration
Yes.
in honor of my brother. And so I make sure that day I color something, I draw something, I do something artistic to honor him. And then his birthday is October 13th. And we usually, wherever we are, we have cake because he liked cake. And he liked hibachi. So we usually go to hibachi. If we're together as a group, we go. If not, then we go in our respective places and we send pictures of us eating cake. His favorite color was green. So we wear green and we celebrate him.
Yeah.
So uh, I think one of the harder things was, and I've heard you talk about this in other podcasts, um, how daddy seemed to just act like he was a superhuman. Like daddy wants to celebrate his birthday and he wants to get us all together. And it's just a big deal. And the 5 of us that are still here, he doesn't make a big deal out of our birthdays at all. Um, we may not even get a gift, but he wants us to travel all together and make a big deal out of not even a special birthday, not like 30, you know. And that has been hurtful. And I remember trying to talk to him about that. It just felt like, Are we not enough for you to keep living for? Are we not, you know, you have 5 kids left and now 7 grandkids, and, you know, are we not, does that not matter? So that has been kind of weird to navigate, you know. Different ones of us didn't have a good relationship with him, or something happened and they weren't able to resolve it before he passed, and how to deal with that, you know. We were fortunate, I guess, when he was like in 10th grade. I think he got mad at me because he said I didn't make enough time for him and he wanted to talk to me on the phone all the time.
Hello,
And I had just started right. I had just started a new job and I was not diligent, but it hurt me that he was mad at me. We never had an argument or anything. And he wasn't talking to me. He wasn't taking my calls. I was like, I wanted to be mad, like, dude, seriously. But that just shows the amount of love that he gave and required. Like, I'm mad at you because you're not, you know, calling me, and I want you to call me, you know.
Yeah.
So I never let that happen again while he was alive. We always talked, usually on Thursdays. We text, and, you know, after they're gone, that's what you miss, whatever kind of constant communication you had. Or like for me, his passing has taught me, I think, 3 things, for sure. Probably more. Every year I feel like there's something new, but the lasting things are definitely to be in the moment. I used to be a habitual multitasker, and I missed so many opportunities being somewhere else when I was with people. And I just don't want to cheat anybody else out of time, and I don't want to cheat myself. That I'm going to take pictures all the time. He came to my graduation, and he came to my PhD graduation. He's actually been at all my graduations. He didn't come to my undergrad graduation, but he was at my high school graduation and my PhD graduation. And there's a picture of him, but it's blurry, so I don't know. He must have been moving. And my daughter's at the bottom in her carrier, and then he's kind of a blur, and then another friend is there. And I was like, why didn't I like take a family picture in my cap and gown? Like, I didn't do any of the traditional stuff. I didn't take pictures of my cap and gown at all. And I guess I can still do that, but that was my first Mother's Day, and we took a bunch of pictures, but they were on a janky camera, and so they're all pixelated. And our aunt passed away, and he wasn't there for the festivities. Although we always tried to get a family picture, because we don't have a picture with all 6 of us, because either I was here or he was in Texas. So it was either one or the other of us was there. And so we lost my train of thought. We have a picture. Oh, everybody was there except him for the funeral. And he was in Texas because his brother got married.
Okay.
And he came back. He came back the day we left, I think. And I got some pictures of him, and I think I posted them in the group that I didn't even know that my daddy had, you know. And so that was a gift, because I had taken pictures with him and they were all busted. So I deleted them. Oh. And I was like, oh man, I wish that I had pictures from that weekend. And then daddy had real pictures. So I was like, yes.
Come through.
Yes, that was a gift. And so also his Facebook is still up. And so he posted videos and, music he liked, stuff that wasn't important. He posted polls about ramen noodles and weird
Oh my
stuff. He
gosh.
was kind
Yes.
of weird. Um, but having those things to go back to um, is helpful. Um, we, like I said, try to talk about it when we're feeling some kind of way or
Mhm.
whatever. And um, that year, okay, so yeah, being in the moment, taking lots of pictures, and not being afraid to talk about it, not being afraid to be vulnerable. And I have a real heart for people who are grieving, who are hurting. Sorry, my kids trying to be quiet. um, yeah, not being afraid to be vulnerable. So I volunteered with Grief Share, and so many people have passed in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
There's always an opportunity to send a card or call or just sit down and listen. And so God really puts those people on my heart, even if I don't know, that at the moment that's what they're going through. Then when I reach out to them, then I'm like, that's
Yeah.
why.
This is,
And
yeah.
that was not the case before. I was super afraid of death um, in a weird way. I think I was afraid that they could come back to life and scare me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unrealistic fear.
You know where we are. As a people, as a culture, we have some things that are spooks. And then, stuff that you've seen in American
In the
movies,
movies. In the movies,
everything.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the other thing that he taught me, or his passing has taught me, is to be in the moment, take pictures, be vulnerable, have a heart for people who are grieving, and that it really does get better. Better is not the right word. It doesn't always feel so intense. And I didn't see that ever not being the case. Because people say, oh, time heals all wounds. I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah.
Heals looks different. Um, lessons,
Lessons is a good word.
Lessens,
Mhm.
lessens the wounds. I don't feel like I'm suffocating anymore at 5 years and some months. Yeah, 5 years and some months.
Yeah.
I miss him a lot. I can look at his pictures and not cry all the time, which is good because I didn't look at them for a while because of the pit or, it just hurt.
Yes.
And so
That feeling.
um, it does get easier. I don't know, easier, better.
Yeah.
It's not always as bad as it feels at the beginning.
Mm.
Um, and I think just listening to myself, because I used to push myself to go no matter what. If I can't, if I need to lay down, I just need to do that. Like, this is the only body I get. I need to treat it nicely, I need to take care of it. I need to woosah
Yeah.
sometimes. So I don't
Definitely.
know. Was that all your questions?
Yeah,
Tried to.
yes. For those who are listening and watching, I'm just letting you know that I had given her some questions beforehand so she could be prepared because everybody is different. People sometimes can just like think of stuff off the cuff, and then other people need a list to kind of help out and help them through what they're thinking. Because y'all know, whenever you're talking about a sibling, you're talking about your experiences. Sometimes all these experiences can come down at you all at one time. And then it's
Mhm.
the pressure of being on a podcast. and then sharing what to share, what not to share, and all those things do happen. And I realize I've been doing this for 3 years, so I'm a bit more comfortable than say somebody who's just coming in and trying to share their story. But she did a marvelous job of telling us
Thank you.
information about her brother Rob, her family dynamics, what has transpired since the death of Rob. And I can connect with so many of those things. And I heard you talk about art, which our sibling Erla, who has been on the podcast before and is in the group, she does art projects throughout when she's from Canada. So she does a lot of those, and she shares a lot of art information and projects that she does for hospice and other sibling groups. So that really connected in that with another sibling. And just the cloud, depression, and things of that nature. I know siblings out there who did not know exactly what it was. Like you said, didn't know it was attached to grief. No clue, which can exasperate physical symptoms, the other symptoms that you have that you're dealing with, like what you said, rheumatoid and then fibromyalgia. So yeah, same thing here. Major depression, didn't know the cloud. The cloud was very heavy. Nighttime was very heavy. The fall, you said August to about around May. And I'm gonna tell you, I knew when fall hit around like the end of August, the days were getting shorter. And then all of a sudden it was like I could feel it in my chest. The days are getting shorter. That means the night is longer. I don't feel good. I just don't feel good until May when it got lighter outside. So definitely connecting with your stories on just how you are navigating through this grieving process. Because it affects you so deeply. And I heard you say at your core, I've said many times where I felt like my whole DNA changed. I mean, from that time forward, I was not the same person whatsoever as you were not. I've also seen you on the Facebook group. So those of you who don't know, the Facebook group is Sibling Lost, the podcast. That's the group name. But on this group, I heard you say or read that you and your sister Miracle, hopefully we'll have Miracle on in the future, that you guys have gotten closer since the death of your brother. So that has been a beautiful part of this tragedy.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I'm really connecting with your story and appreciating the information about being vulnerable, appreciating the information about being mindful. We have cell phones wherever we go, and sometimes we can get lost in these cell phones and just miss out on times and all of this. And we don't realize it until a tragedy strikes or somebody gets sick or somebody dies. That, man, I could have taken more pictures, but that day I felt fat, or I just didn't want to do this, and I just all those things that we can think of in the moment, but once the moment passes, then we really want those moments back. So definitely taking care of yourself too. That's a big one, huge one. I know for myself. Hi, baby girl.
She was really good. She was being quiet. She's been here the whole time.
Good. She's gotten so big since the last time you were on camera. This has been a couple.
Yeah, this is Ava.
Hi, Ava.
She's 8 now.
8. Oh my God.
And I'm the slime queen.
We haven't had a little person come on in, but which is good. So I know we have made it through, they say post-COVID, but COVID is still out there. But during this time, during COVID, we were all isolated. All of us were isolated. Can you tell us how you have survived through all of the isolation through 2020 and now coming back from where we've been? Because I heard you say you had a layoff and all these different things, which I'm sure siblings out there that has complicated a lot of things in the past couple of years. How did you survive these past 2-3 years almost?
I think emotionally I struggled a lot. The time at home was great. I live in a multi-generational family, so my mom and dad actually live here in our house. And so we laughed, we played games, we ate well every day, because we didn't go out. All five of us were here working, we had somebody in the library downstairs, two people in our den, Ava in her room, and then I have my own office, because my job is more confidential. And so what was hard for me was that every day, every 2 days, every week, there were so many people dying, And so that impacted me a lot, people of all ages where, when we were younger, it seemed like only old people were dying. It wasn't such the norm. And I know your situation is different, but on a wider scale, it was like old people die. It wasn't young people, it wasn't babies, it wasn't, so many people died during COVID, and how we couldn't come together, or the abbreviated version of coming together. I've watched so many funerals online because I wanted to support the people, even if I couldn't be there. That was, that is not normal, but it's the norm now. So I was really sick a lot. And I think it was because my emotional well-being impacts my physical well-being. And you did a podcast in the last couple of weeks where you were talking about your stomach hurting all the time. My stomach hurt the entirety of COVID. I mean, all the time. And they could not ever find anything, because when I was supposed to go, then something be shut down, or I would need to get a procedure where somebody would need to drive me, and they'd have to sit in the car, and I'd be like, well, I don't want to do that, So I noticed that after you said that about yourself. That was definitely something that impacted me. So I was in bed a lot, especially in 2020 to 2021. I thought I was going to be applying for disability. It had gotten so bad. But it also made me think, like, okay, what can I do if I can't see people, if I can't go out? And I've always been social. So I missed hugging people. Me and Ava went to Dollar General every single day. That was our way to get away from the people who live here.
Yeah.
We need to see some people who don't live here.
Yeah.
But I wrote a lot of cards. I started making cards because I buy so many, and I like art and stuff. I started making cards, and I started a business to try to help people manage their time better, because that's my skill set. And I guess I just started doing some introspection. Like, what can I do to help people out there? I made a lot of phone calls. Even if I was stuck in bed, I can write a card, I can call, I can send a text and say, I'm thinking about you. I listen to a lot of music. Music is a salve for everything for me. So sometimes I would get stuck and I listen to the same song over and over and over, which my mom did when I was younger. It drove me insane. So I don't know if I'm just at a certain age.
Yeah, where she how she feels now.
Ava said it drives her insane too.
Oh gosh. Just wait, baby girl.
Yeah. But I listened to a lot of music. And when I could get together with people, um, we'd meet people at the park or some outdoors place. So we could still be together, even if we weren't, at somebody's house or whatever. And so those times made such a difference for me. Because I have a friend group, the people who were at the picnic,
Yeah.
I have a friend group of 10 to 12 people that we've all known each other since college, basically. And our families are around the same ages, and we are each other's family.
Yeah.
And so, not being able to see them every weekend, every few days, like I did before COVID, and it was months. Like we would get on Zoom so we could see each other. We had Zoom homecoming, things that were awful ended up helping, because we just wanted to be as normal as possible. And so, if we left the public in March of 2020, in March of 2021, March of 2021, I think it was. When did the world open back up?
Oh, it wasn't long. So
Uh,
the world opened back up, it seemed like we only took like 4 months off. But for real, we were open by 2021.
okay, so March of 2021, because most of us had started working from home or whatever. So we just did not see each other. And the people who were comfortable, we got together at a park and we had a cookout. And our kids got to play and, we got to hug each other. And it was like refreshment to my soul. Like I needed that so much. And I think a lot of people struggled because they realized they didn't have solid relationships. Because, when you can see each other, it's a whole different thing when you can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Proximity is important,
It is.
but you can weather that. And so I did a lot of journaling and I had gotten out of that. I I write a lot. And I had stopped doing that because my diseases impacted my hands before. And so now I can write again. But I did journaling on my phone a lot because I just needed to get it out, you know. I had insomnia a lot, so I stayed up late. I colored a lot online. I did crossword puzzles, things to keep my mind active. But I think it was a lot of time for introspection. Like, what do I want to do for work for real? Like, if I can do anything when the world opens up, am I going to go back to this terrible place that sucks out my energy, or am I going to, do what I really love? And so I have a lot of skills, which sometimes makes it hard to decide on one thing that you want to do when you grow up. And I always wanted to teach freshman seminar. And so I'm on my second year of teaching freshman seminar, and I love it. I also teach senior seminar. I go to school every day and I hug the people and I tell them not to waste time on stuff that doesn't matter. And we have phone detox days. We talk about self-care. And so God has really blessed me to be able to do what I love and get paid for it, but also pour into people a lot. So yeah, that's how I got through. I tried to be outwardly focused so that even on my bad days, I knew I could help somebody else. And I think sometimes when you feel sucky, you can just get in the hole and it just sucks you in. But if you can just commit to reaching out to two people who you know need something, need a smile,
Yeah.
need a, I thought about you today. It doesn't make you feel so bad.
Yeah.
I also dressed up.
That's good
Why?
because,
So,
went opposite.
my grandparents were 65 when I was born, my mom's parents. And, they're from an era when Black people dressed up to go to the bank, and it was all about putting your best foot forward.
Mhm.
And my grandmother was a diabetic, and she was a below knee amputee, and so she would say to me, when I don't feel well, that I should dress up. So I missed dressing up during the pandemic.
Okay.
Because nobody had to.
Right.
And still nobody has to, which vexes my soul. But when I feel bad,
Yeah.
I dress up, even if nobody sees me. And that helps my demeanor to be washed and have something on that makes me feel good. And that varies. Sometimes it's about the texture. Sometimes it's about the look. And so just doing things that make you feel good. And I think I saw something that had like when you're depressed, do these 8 things, like feed yourself, take a shower, put on clothes that are comfortable, feed yourself. I can't remember if it was feed yourself something good.
Yes.
It was like 8 steps. You probably know what they are.
Yeah.
But
TikTok too.
What'd you say?
I think I've seen it on TikTok too, on social media.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw it on Facebook for sure. But I just tried to implement that. Like, even if I'm not going anywhere, I could get dressed, because when I don't get dressed, then I just feel like, so
Yes.
I think that's what got me through COVID.
Oh, good. Hard times for everybody, and universally we were grieving, and it triggered other grief that we had from our siblings, and some of us lost siblings during COVID season. So I'm talking to you all out there who are coming out of COVID, and dealing with grief, and the isolation of it all and things of that nature. And we have heard our sibling talk about writing to people, making cards, using art, connecting when she finally could connect. And now Zoom is just the thing that we do now. So that's never really going away. Your Microsoft Teams, all that stuff is not going away anytime soon or ever. We have leaped into that world.
I thought of one more thing. Find a friend who you can talk to about your sibling. Because maybe you can't do that at home, but if somebody, whether it's somebody that knew them or not, somebody that knows them or knew them is helpful, because they have experiences that you don't know about that they could share with you when you just need one more piece of them. My husband has lost 2 siblings, and he's in this group, but he never says anything.
Yes, I know.
But I did invite him, and he did accept. Yeah. But that too is helpful. And go to therapy.
Yes.
Dude.
Yes.
Therapy is amazing. And I know culturally, in the African American community, as well as just Americans, we have a barber, beautician, we have a dentist, we have a doctor, we have a pastor, but we don't have a therapist.
Yeah.
And how come we don't make it as normal as getting our hair cut to go to therapy?
Yeah.
We got to do better.
Definitely.
So get a therapist.
Yay for therapy. Because I am a therapist that has a therapist, and I hated I wait so long to get her. I should have had her years ago. But honey, I'm looking forward every time I see my therapist. I'm like,
Yay.
yeah, whew. Yes, yes, definitely. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for saying that you were going to be a part of the podcast and being a part of the group. I derive a lot of connection, strength from your stories, and just your presence of being here and sharing with your other friends and with your siblings and your husband. And it has
Thank
been
you.
very, very it kind of pulls on my heartstrings, because it's the reason why I have the podcast, because I know we are the forgotten mourners. I know that it's a grief that a lot of people just won't understand until they step into it. They can have some sympathy for it, they can be there for you, but they just will not understand what it's like to be shaken to their core, to their DNA. So yes, say thank you so much for being here. And I love you, my sibling.
I love you.
Yes. So I will hopefully have her back with her sister sometime soon. And you guys just be on the lookout for that in the future, okay?